reason for the heavens and the earth. I know there's a reason for the created births. I know there's a reason for turning dust into flesh.
Welcome to this Mini Halo, Blue Halo podcast episode. Today we're continuing our walk through the Beatitudes. Those words Jesus spoke that don't just describe a better life, but a different kind of life. Today we arrive at the 7th Beatitude. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. This is a beatitude that feels desperately needed in our world right now, doesn't it? Let's start by clearing something up. Jesus doesn't say, blessed are the peacekeepers. He says, blessed are the peacemakers. There's a difference. Peacekeeping avoids conflict at all cost. Peacemaking steps right into the conflict, and it does so with wisdom and courage and love. It's a big difference. In the Bible, the word for peace is shalom. That's biblical peace. And it's not just the absence of fighting, okay? It's the presence of wholeness and the presence of reconciliation and of restored relationships. It means things are the way they're supposed to be. That's peace. Don't get me wrong. Peacemakers don't ignore tension. Not even close. They don't pretend everything is fine when it's not. Instead, though, they work hard and toward healing, even when it's uncomfortable. This kind of peace that we're talking about takes a lot of effort, and it requires humility, and it requires patience, and it requires us to be willing to listen more than speak. Sometimes that's pretty hard to do, isn't it? In this beatitude, Jesus says peacemakers will be called, what? Children of God. Why is that? It's because peacemaking is at the very heart of who God is. That's why. In the scriptures, in the Bible, they tell us that while humanity was still broken and separated from God, He took the first step toward reconciliation. God did, not us. He did it through Jesus. God made peace between Himself and the world. He took the initiative. God didn't wait for us to fix things. He moved toward us, and He absorbed the cost of reconciliation Himself. Peacemakers do the same thing. They take the initiative. They move toward broken relationships rather than running away from them. And when they do, they reflect what God wants us to do and what He showed us to do through Jesus. It's not easy. And let's be honest, peacemaking is costly. Maybe not money, but you may lose friends. It might cost you your pride, and it might be uncomfortable. I'm sure it will be. And you might have to sacrifice your desire to be right. Give that up, or to maybe win an argument. These are the things I'm talking about, not material things. Peacemaking sometimes means choosing understanding over being understood. Does that make sense? It might require apologizing, even when you feel maybe only partly at fault, or maybe not at fault at all. And that's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? And here's the hard truth. Peacemaking doesn't always work. And not everyone wants peace. Not every relationship can be restored. We have to deal with that. But peacemakers, and please listen carefully to this, peacemakers are responsible for the effort, not the outcome. Romans chapter 12, verse 18 reminds us this: if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Well, let me tell you, that phrase, as far as it depends on you, that phrase matters a lot. Peacemaking starts closer to home than we might think. Now, why do I say that? I mean, what does it look like in our everyday world? Well, it's everywhere. Opportunities to be a peacemaker are everywhere. Here are some things you can do, okay? Like slowing down a heated conversation instead of escalating it. I could talk about this one for an hour. What to say, what not to say, using calming devices and de-escalation techniques, things like that. That was my career at one point. I know a lot about those things. Here's another one. Listening to understand instead of listening to respond. Or refusing to gossip. How about that? A lot of us have a hard time with that one. But gossip fuels division, doesn't it? So don't do it. And if you have to speak a hard truth to someone, well, be gentle, okay? Speak that truth with gentleness and not sarcasm. And be patient and don't rush to judgment. You see, sometimes peacemaking means confronting sin and doing so in a loving way. But other times it means extending grace and letting small offenses go. That's not easy. Peacemakers are not passive. They're intentional. They actively create space where healing can happen. And peacemaking always begins inside of us. On the inside, okay? A heart at war cannot create peace around it. It doesn't work that way. We live in a world that thrives on division. Social media rewards outrage. I don't like it. I wish I could change it. Opinions, too. They're shouted, mostly, instead of shared. And it's sad. Differences become battlegrounds. They do, instead of places where we can unify. In this environment, peacemakers stand out. They refuse to reduce people to labels. They remember that behind every opinion is a human being who is made in God's image. And they don't confuse disagreement with hatred either. Peacemakers model life in a different way. And so should we. One where love is louder than anger and humility is stronger than pride. And remember, this doesn't mean compromising truth either. It means delivering truth and delivering it without destroying people, without destroying them in the process. So if you got the time, which you do, take a moment to reflect, okay? Is there a relationship in your life where peace has been broken? Is there a conversation you've been avoiding? Probably. Is God inviting you to take the first step toward reconciliation? You know the answer is yes, but it's hard to do. I get that. These are tough questions. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. This beatitude reminds us that peace is not passive. It's purposeful. And when we pursue peace, we reflect the God who pursued us. And even when peacemaking is hard, and it will be, or unappreciated, God sees it and honors it. Thank you for joining me today. If this conversation stirred something in you, consider sharing it with someone who might need some encouragement. Next time, we'll conclude our Beatitude series with one of the most challenging and hopeful teachings of Jesus, what it means to be persecuted for righteousness. Until then, walk gently, speak wisely, and live as a child of God who makes peace.